Chapter 11. A Sense of Things to Come. Jake steps onto the stage, ready to face off against a rough, street-style fighter named Howard Parks. Dressed in a ripped flannel shirt and ragged jeans, Howard's hair is pulled back and tied in a red bandana. Howard arrogantly paces the stage, waiting for the match to begin. "In a hurry?" Jake asks as he makes it to the stage. "I'd like to end this as quickly as possible so I can rest up for my real fight next round." Jake smiles, used to adults always assuming they are the best at everything. "Well, let's begin then," Jake grins. Howard rushes Jake, throwing several swift kicks. Jake leaps back, noting that the glow of his opponent is concentrated much more heavily around his legs. "Alright, assuming this glowing business means what I think it does, this guy's going to be focusing on lower body attacks like kicks. If I can keep him in close, I can neutralize his offense and set my own tempo for the fight." Howard kicks again, Jake dodging and stepping in close to cut off any further attacks. Howard tries to back up and reestablish the gap, but Jake pursues, striking with a left-right jab combo to the chest. Howard staggers, throwing a slow right hook and making it painfully obvious that punching is not his specialty. Jake easily sidesteps the punch and hooks the man under his own arm, locking it against his side, and thrusts his other hand outwards, hitting Howard with an open palm to the sternum. With his arm locked by Jake, the force of the blow dislocates Howard's shoulder, causing him to scream out in pain. Jake releases his hold on the man and pivots, kicking his opponent across the face and spinning him off the stage onto the laps of the local news media. He targeted his opponent's legs from the start. He may be young and inexperienced, but I'm sure of it now. He is in tune with visually mapping an enemy's aura. Few of even the most hard-trained martial artists ever master such an ability. What a rare natural gift to possess. If he can survive one more round, I would really look forward to testing his limits. Brian Chen thinks with a grin, watching the conclusion of Jake's fight. Terrence, the young man who defeated Mitch, walks over to congratulate Jake. "Howard is a jerk, but I've seen him fight in other tournaments before, and I have never watched anyone beat him like you just did." "Thanks," Jake replies, gladly accepting the compliment from the experienced competitor. Rodnovich pushes past Jake and Terrence on his way to the stage to get his own match over with. "Out of the way, munchkins," Radnovich growls. "What's the story on Roid Rage over there?" Jake asks. "He came in second last year at the World Martial Arts Championships in South Africa. He's actually extremely skilled," Terrence replies. "What about you?" "I'm misplacing by 2 matches. That's why I had to hit this qualification tournament. I didn't get an invite, so this is my last chance to receive one before the championships." "So if the Rhino there just top finished, why is he here?" "He enjoys to fight. He goes to all the qualification tournaments to try and fight as many of the world's toughest he can. He edged me out of placing last month in Toronto, so this is my last chance to get an invite this year." "And Chen?" "I don't know much about him. He's tough, obviously, but I've never seen him before today in the tournament circuit." Jake thanks Terrence for his information, and the two divert their attention to the giant Radnovich as he begins his battle. A much smaller man in his 40s enters the ring and bows in respect, to which Radnovich merely snorts in irritation. "Start the match. I'm bored with this tournament. I haven't seen one fighter worth my time," Radnovich growls. "In fact, I've seen 3 people that I'd much rather fight just standing over there in the crowd. Too bad they're all cowards." Radnovich looks directly at Gator, and then shifts his eyes to look at the back of the crowd, where Danny, Marcus, and Glaus stand. "That lummox can sense auras. I'm surprised," Danny thinks. "I wonder who the other 2 spectators he's referring to are. Could one of them be the vessel I seek? I never even considered the possibility that Yamura's vessel could be a spectator." She looks around the crowd, trying to sense anyone whose energy seems abnormally strong. "I don't sense anyone stronger than those we've already narrowed it down to. But there still exists the possibility that they can mask their presence. The spell that Sensei cast led me here, and I just assumed the strongest being would be fighting in the tournament. This could change everything." Radnovich's opponent leaps at him and delivers a powerful sidekick to the face, but the giant grabs him by the ankle without glancing in his direction, and swings the man into his arm, clotheslining him. Radnovich looks down at his opponent, who drops to his knees, the wind knocked from his lungs. You got a bad draw, pal. Radnovich kicks the man in the face, sending him flying off the stage. Jake's eyes widen in astonishment. You weren't lying. That dude is real tough. Good luck, Terrence says, patting Jake on the shoulder. Try and fight him from a distance if you can. Thanks, and good luck to you too, Jake replies. Terrence leaving to prepare himself for a semifinal match against Brian Chen. Radnovich glares again at Gator, who merely looks back at him, smiling. You think you're all slick sitting back and watching, don't you? Radnovich asks, growing irritated. Your ass should be up here, so I can have some real competition. Rusty and Derek stare at their father in confusion. What's he talking about, Dad? Do you know each other? Rusty asks. I've never seen him before in my life, Gator responds, still smiling. I guess he just wants to try and pick a fight with me. He can probably spot a veteran pretty easily. There's more to the big guy than just muscles, it seems. He can sense energy, Gator thinks. The mayor declares Radnovich the final qualifier for the semifinal round, which will begin in 15 minutes. Jake walks back over to his family and stands next to them, who try and psych him up for his match. Don't let his size and big mouth intimidate you. You'll have speed and brains on him, Gator says. Hard not to be intimidated. The guy's got his own planetary orbit, Jake sighs. That's the spirit, Mitch mocks as he and his mother return from buying sausage dogs for the family. Don't listen to him, you'll do just fine, Sue argues, pushing herself between her son and Jake, who glare at each other angrily. Jake nods, immersed in deep thoughts. Radnovich is an experienced fighter that can easily tear him to pieces. Jake worries how he'll be able to overcome such a grand obstacle. Mitch continues to sneer as he takes a large bite of his dog, mustard and onions dripping off it and onto the grass in wet piles. Jake, come here for a minute, Gator says, pulling his nephew aside. What's up? The team asks. Got a few pointers for me? Gator's expression is stern, as if carved out of granite. Jake shudders, wondering why his uncle has suddenly become so serious. I think you need to drop out of the tournament before the next round. What? Are you serious? Jake steps back, shocked and slightly offended by the lack of faith in him. I know the big guy's intimidating, but I'll have speed on him, just like you said. I think there's more to Radnovich than he's letting on, Gator says, placing a hand on Jake's shoulder. The teenager swats his hand away and begins to walk back towards the stage. I appreciate your concern, but I'll be fine. I'll beat that guy, just you wait and see. The mayor returns and announces that the first of the two semifinal matches is about to begin. Brian Chen and Terrence Baker step onto the stage, daggers connecting their glares. This should be amazing, Jake thinks. Both fighters seem pretty awesome. To Jake, he sees the flickering firestorms of the two combatants' auras, and he feels the tremendous pressure they are exerting on his own energy, making it slightly difficult to stay focused. The Asian guy is going to win. He was unbelievably strong and fast, too, Rusty says. Don't underestimate the other guy. Mitch may have a big yapper, but he can usually back up his swag. For him to have been beaten so badly means that Terrence can't be a pushover, Derek argues. I can't even begin to guess who's stronger. Both of their glows are so bright that I can barely see anything else beyond them, Jake thinks to himself. Terrence and Chen collide suddenly, punches firing off at each other like machine gun bursts. Terrence throws several fast jabs, but the blows seem to pass straight through Chen, the young man moving so quickly. Chen counters, striking Terrence once in the chest with so much force that Terrence must break off and leap away to catch his own breath. Chen grins arrogantly as Terrence holds his chest, grimacing. You're good, but I'm much better, Chen laughs. Terrence balls his fists and leaps at Chen, throwing a powerful head-level roundhouse kick. Chen brings his arm up to defend, but Terrence shifts his weight and swings around early, and instead turns his back to Chen, with a side kick to the chest from his other leg. Chen stumbles back, the blow delivered successfully. Looks like you aren't as hot shit as you thought, Terrence grins. You might be the top dog back in your hood, but you aren't comparable to me, Chen growls. I ain't from no hood, you racist bastard. Chen concentrates, closing his eyes and taking much slower and deeper breaths. Jake notices that the glow around him changes, becoming sharper and more defined, as if crystallizing around him into solid shards of condensed energy. Terrence leaps backwards, also noticing the change just before half a dozen shards of energy start shooting out towards him and exploding into the air where he just stood. "Gonna be one of those kind of fights, huh?" Terrence asks, his glow quickly sharpening as well. "I guess any chance of surprise is out of the picture. I didn't think you could see manifested energy." "It ain't that hard if you got a natural feel for it." Chen nods, understanding that the fight is about to become much more intense. "Back up," Gator cautions, moving his family away from the stage. Jake notices Gator's eyes locked onto the two fighters, and guesses that he too must be able to see their glows, or energy as Chen put it. "Can you see those attacks?" Jake asks Gator with a whisper, as Chen fires more energy shards from his aura at Terrence, who again dodges them, but this time retaliates, with a similar assault of his own. "Yes, and I take it that you can too from the question," Gator says, slightly surprised. "You're seeing their auras, the excess energy their bodies produce while trying to keep up with a strenuous activity. The body ventilates light amounts of energy so that it doesn't build up and begin to cause inward damage." "Everyone's cells do this?" "To different extents, yes. The more one trains their body to produce, the more they yield, just like training any muscle." Chen darts to Terrence's side, bringing his arm across his opponent's throat and knocking him back. Terrence catches himself with one hand and kicks Chen in the face. Chen grabs Terrence's ankle and swings him into the air above. Terrence throws his weight back to land on his feet, but Chen leaps up, drilling him with a hard combo of jabs to the face and chest. Terrence collapses to his back, moaning and writhing in pain. "How did they turn a chemical reaction into a tangible object that not everyone could see?" Jake asks. "I don't know how it works. I just know that it's called manifesting condensed energy. Somehow, with a lot of practice, one can compress the gas-like energy into a solid object through willpower and concentration. Can't say that I've ever managed it, though, but I did see it a lot, and a lot weirder shit back in my days as a SEAL, and with the Silver Fox Task Force," Gator replies. Jake stares at his uncle for a while, questioning what he really knows about his past. For years he has thought that the Silver Fox Task Force was just a secretive military special team, but with the revealing of a whole new world of hidden energies and strange dreams, there may be much more to this group than he once believed. Terrence crawls to his feet, but Chen hammers him with a right hook to the side of his face. Terrence staggers, his head jerked backwards and drooling long strings of blood. Chen follows up, thrusting his open palm into Terrence's chest and sending him crashing to his back. Chen stands over the now motionless opponent, his own chest heaving. "Damn it!" Terrence coughs, fighting against pain and common sense to will himself to move. "Crazy bastard won't give up," Chen thinks in shock, assuming that after the blows he suffered, Terrence would stay down. Terrence stands, but his entire body aches and screams at him to submit. "I can't give up. If I win this, I'm guaranteed a place in the championships." Chen lowers into a fighting stance, silently respecting his opponent's nerve. He wants to win this so badly. I almost feel pity that he won't be able to attain his goal, Chen thinks to himself, knowing that losing is not in the cards. Chen launches himself forward, headbutting Terrence and staggering him backwards. "I'm sorry I must end this quickly and embarrass you, but I can't waste any more energy in this match," Chen thinks, dropping his level and sweeping Terrence's feet. As Terrence falls to his back, Chen drops his elbow down into his opponent's chest. Terrence screams silently, saliva spewing forth from his mouth. Terrence's back crashes to the ground, sending a jolt through each and every nerve ending and pain center in his body. Unable to move and with darkness encroaching all around him, Terrence closes his eyes in submission and drifts immediately into sleep. The 10 count begins and ends without objection. Brian Chen is declared the winner and the first finalist. Terrence is helped off the stage by several volunteer firefighters and moved to the medical tent, used primarily for overheated elderly women and lost children. Disappointed that the friendlier competitor lost to the jerk, Jake tries to push those thoughts out in order to make room for his own match as it looms overhead like a massive black storm cloud. "Worry about yourself, man, and about that titan you're about to face." Don't think of him being like 10 feet tall and weighing 800 pounds. Don't think about him using spare tires as a child to cut his teeth on. No, focus. Calm down and go into this ready to face any challenge, no matter how large and intimidating they are, Jake thinks. Radnovich steps onto the stage and looks down at Jake, still on the sidelines. What is this shit? Another teenager? What god did I piss off? You're at the wrong stage. This is the National High School Spelling Bee. If you leave right now, you might still be able to make it over to your stage and not be disqualified, Jake says, hopping onto the platform. Radnovich grins, revealing several gaps where he's missing teeth. You're right to be scared of me. I don't care if you're a teenager or a little old lady. I'm going to smash your face in. Radnovich grins, cracking his knuckles. Guess you're just too smart for me to fool, Jake snickers, trying to get under the giant's skin. Radnovich ignores Jake's taunts, instead flexing his biceps. Jake flinches, a quick gust of wind rushing outwards towards him. Jake staggers back a step, a line of blood running down his right cheek. Before you wreck your brain, no, I didn't move. Your weak body just isn't conditioned to even stand in my presence, Radnovich grins. He hit me with his strength alone? How do I stand up against that? Jake worries, Radnovich seeming even larger and more imposing now, as his shadow looms over the intimidated teenager. Radnovich throws a punch in the air, wind slamming into Jake's face and knocking him to his back. Tears fill in Jake's eyes, and blood fills his throat as it drains from his sinuses. Jake coughs, straining to climb back to his feet. He cannot breathe through his nose, a burning sensation filling his head. Blood runs down his nostrils in a steady stream, his nose busted open at the bridge. What happened? Why did Jake fall down? The big guy missed him by a mile, Rusty asks, confused. It isn't that simple, Gator quietly whispers, watching the fight closely. Unlike his sons, he can see the violent cyclone of energy swirling around Radnovich. A towering black shadow looms over the man, settling on knees deep in Gator's stomach. What are you doing, Jake? You aren't ready for this. Give up, please, Gator thinks, fearful of his nephew suffering worse than just a bleeding nose. Jake watches Radnovich, trying to anticipate any movement. Jake curses to himself as he's unable to focus on any single point of the giant's aura. It's all too bright and swollen to differentiate. New plan. Don't stand around. I gotta keep moving, Jake thinks, bending his knees as to be able to spring at a second's notice. Radnovich's left arm tenses, and Jake sees a mass of physical energy pool into the behemoth's fist. Jake jumps sideways to the right, just as Radnovich launches his air punch, the shockwave missing Jake and instead slamming into the side of a carnival ring toss game. The invisible blow punches a deep indention into the booth, and the carny running the game peers outside in anger, thinking some hooligan has just kicked it. To his surprise, there is no one there. At the back of the cheering crowd, Danny, Glaus, and Marcus whisper back and forth to each other. That wasn't luck, Glaus says. He anticipated that ogre's move. Jake can see a person's aura. I think that much is clear, Danny adds. But that alone isn't enough. We have to be absolutely sure. If we choose the wrong candidate for Yamura, they'll probably be destroyed along with us. Radnovich is a beast. If Jake beats him, then he isn't just our guy, he's a frickin' Greek god, Marcus grumbles, still sore from his confrontation with the same man. Just play it cool and hang back. We don't make our move until we're absolutely sure, Danny orders. Radnovich swings his arm outwards across his body, sending in a horizontal rush of invisible power, speeding at Jake like a buzzsaw. Jake drops back, posting his hands and rotating quickly to spin out of the energy's path. Radnovich punches again, and Jake is forced to immediately launch himself into the air to jump over the energy wind. Jake lands in the same spot he was at previously and exhales with relief. Got to keep dodging. I can't let anything from the Hulk here connect or I'm a goner, Jake thinks. Radnovich quickly punches the air repeatedly, sending dozens of invisible energy fists out at Jake. Jake leaps around the stage, trying his best to anticipate each move, but is soon overwhelmed by the relentlessness of his more experienced opponent. Jake is caught in the left shoulder by a blow, spinning him around with such force that he's flung in a full circle off his feet. The attack begins to bruise and swell immediately. Jake's skin turns black in an area exactly the shape of Radnovich's oversized fist. I feel like I just got slammed into by a bulldozer, Jake thinks, pulling himself to his feet. Radnovich grins, seeing the swelling seeping out from beneath Jake's shirt sleeve. Jake favors the injured side but circles the giant, trying not to take his eyes off of him. Your body's soft and unconditioned. You don't have enough notches in your belt to be able to stand up here with me as an equal, Radnovich explains. Go home and fly a kite or something, kid. You don't belong here. He's right. I was fooling myself into thinking I could actually pull off an upset, Jake thinks, holding his shoulder and wincing in pain. Jolly Green here is going to take me apart piece by piece if I don't just give up and step down. Brad Henson squeals with delight as Jake is mercilessly beaten by the monstrous man called Radnovich. This is the best show I've ever seen live, Brad laughs. Nice to see that cocky little shit put in his place, Vaughn adds. He doesn't seem so tough now. Brad leans over to the girls. You see this? Stewart's lucky. The beating he would have gotten from me would have been twice as bad. The girls ooh and ah at the football star's boasted strength. Brad only laughs arrogantly. This beating is a long time coming. He struts around the school like he's hot shit, but we all know the truth. If his friends hadn't jumped us from behind at Colton's party, we'd have laid his ass out back then, Vaughn adds. Even the girls question the truth of that statement. They were there at the party, and distinctively remember Jake having the upper hand on each of them that he faced one-on-one. Mitch disagrees with his friends, amazed that Jake has been able to withstand as many blows as he has. Those idiots don't realize that one punch from that guy would turn their bodies into paste, Mitch thinks. Jake isn't going to be able to win. His cousin staggered by another hit. He'll be lucky just to survive this battle at all. Keep your head up, kid. The fight is still on, Gator shouts. Pain is temporary. Your pride lasts forever. How could I face everyone knowing that I'd be a quitter? Mitch would never let me live it down. He'd call me a coward and a wimp, and it would never end. No, I can't just step down. I have to endure. I have to find a way to fight back. Jake thinks to himself, trying to sort out his many emotions. Jake's eyes suddenly glisten with a resolve never before seen in him. Radnovich cocks his head in intrigue as he sees Jake's own aura flare up into a dancing blue fire around his body.